It really feels like there's some old geezers in the world that are just perpetually infuriated and looking for any excuse to take out their anger on whatever poor soul happens to be in the vicinity. Today there's a video that's gone viral where the president of the HOA caught some two hooligans, some rapscallions, committing an unforgivable sin of fishing in a pond. And he gets up in their face, starts yelling, screaming, spitting, shitting, soiling his old man diaper, even grabs one of their fishing rods and tries to break it over his glass knee, all because they had the gall to fish in that pond.
Yo, don't touch my rod. Don't fucking touch my rod.
Trespassing on private property.
Don't threaten us.
You're trespassing on private property, young man.
We're waiting for the police to come.
You don't need to get out of here.
No, wait for the
Leave.
No, we're gonna talk to them.
Leave.
We're gonna talk to them.
He's actually hitting him with the classic scram buster gesture. The take a hike, pal emote that he's dropping on him right there. So as the shirt says, this gentleman is Tennessee strong. But you know what's not strong? His fucking knees. The way he walks around looks like a wounded penguin. He has a gait pattern that screams hip pain. So he comes up to this child, grabs the fishing rod, and tries to break it over his already fragile knee. And then I think that injures him even further. Like, he may have broke the $200 rod, but that fucking knee replacement surgery he's gonna have to get as a result of this disgusting, pitiful display is going to be far more expensive.
You threatened us.
He's our president.
You threatened
You want that phone
us.
to go in the lake, young man?
You threatened us.
You want that phone to go in the lake?
Back away
Walk
from
out of here,
him.
boys.
Back
Walk
away
out
from
of
him.
here.
He walked up.
Back
Don't
up.
test me.
Back up
Walk
from
out of
me.
here.
He walked up on
Back up from me.
Get out of here.
Back up from me.
I love the peanut gallery that he brought with him from the retirement home. So, like, the geriatric goof troop over there is like, he's our president! And one of the other guys is just giggling like evil maniacal laughter. Ha 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 ha. You've done it now. You've upset the HOA president. Your goose is cooked, gentlemen. It's so fucking pathetic. It's so sad. To get to this age and just be this bitter and angry about something so small. Kids fishing in a pond? Who gives a fuck? Even if it is private property, which I don't think it's his private property, by the way. There's like 5 houses all right in that span. Like, it's not his land. But let's say they are trespassing. It's one of those things where you can absolutely handle it in a better way. Just be like, hey kids, you know, not the biggest deal in the world, but this is private property, so, you know, just keep that in mind. Or maybe, you know, go somewhere over there where it's not private property to fish on this pond. Like, you could handle this like a fucking adult. Like, he's more childish than the 15-year-old kids that he's harassing right now and breaking the property of.
How'd I take that phone and put it in the lake?
Yeah, now I'll press charges.
For what?
Like assault, what?
For what?
Assault.
Yeah, I'm not assaulting you. Get out of here.
He said he.
We're just gonna wait. We're not gonna mess with anything.
Get out of here. You're fishing in a private lake. Get the hell out of here now.
The cops are coming. We're just waiting for them.
Okay, good.
The way he yells reminds me of Chris Farley, living in a van down by the river. He's actually hitting a fucking Farley right now. He's so upset. It's like, this is such a trivial thing to make a huge issue out of. All of this hoopla because they're just fishing in a pond. They're not hurting anyone. This fucking old generation here that he represents is also the same one that uses the classic low-hanging fruit of, all kids today are so lazy with their TikTok whatchamahoozits, they don't go outside and do anything active anymore. It's no wonder they're all fucking depressed and sad. And then you have kids that actually just go outside fishing, hurting no one, doing nothing wrong, and they're still mad. They're just still fucking mad.
You know what? We're going to prosecute, so your parents are going to be real proud of that.
Right.
We're going to prosecute you, and you're going to pay all kinds of money because you're being a dick.
I'm not being a dick.
You are.
Sir, you're the one yelling.
You're on private property,
Sir,
young man.
I'm just trying to
Get outta
fish.
here.
He threatened us and he walked up.
Get out of here. You're on private property. Get out of here.
I'll always find it fascinating how people get into this delusional state when they have this temper. Like, when they're starting to rage like he is, all logic and common sense just leaves from their noodle. He thinks that somehow when the police arrive, they'll be on his side, even after seeing the video. You clueless ignoramus. You absolute fucking fossil. On camera, you snatched the fishing rod out of a 15-year-old's hand, pushed him out of the way, like bumped him out of the way, and then broke his property over your knee. You basically assaulted a child on camera, and you think the police showing up would be a good thing for you, that they're going to be on your side somehow? It's just crazy how out of touch people like that are. And it happens all the time when you are completely in the wrong, but then somehow still convinced you're in the right in a situation like this. It blows my mind. It really does. Like, even if he didn't do that, The most that would happen with the police showing up would be like, hey kids, do you mind not fishing here? The homeowner clearly has an issue. He's definitely blowing a gasket, having a conniption over something kind of small, but, you know, can you just go fish somewhere else that's not on this guy's land? All right, thanks. Like, that's how that would resolve. But this old guy's going ballistic here and thinks that somehow threatening to prosecute them would be, like, an actionable threat? Like, it's not like the cops are going to show up and start reading them their Miranda rights, throw them in the slammer, book them like, hey, get your lawyer here. He's prosecuting you for fishing on this pond. Your lives are ruined now. Sorry, Sprouts. Better luck next time. It's so dumb. It's so fucking stupid. Again, if you have an issue with them being on private property, you could handle this in a much better way that isn't this out of hand and out of control. But I do want to put a teeny tiny little note on the end of that. If you do care about someone just innocently fishing on private property, you need to take a hard look in the mirror. You are way too fucking uptight and you are a Scrooge. Like, you are not enjoying life if this is something that bothers you to this degree. It's just kids fishing in a pond. No one is getting hurt. It is a victimless crime. Like, it's not a big deal at all. Like, like, I remember when I was growing up, I used to do this shit too. My parents' house was next to a pond. And me and my friends would go to that pond and just fish in it. Sometimes we'd even swim in it, which, you know, but today I would never do because of fucking brain-eating amoeba. They got me fucking terrified. But back then, caution to the wind. I'd swim in the pond, we'd fish in the pond, and the homeowners that were around that pond didn't give a fuck. You know what didn't happen? One of them storming out of there, screaming and shouting with like a fucking sledgehammer and a chainsaw, ready to kill us over it, right? Like, it's not a big deal. But it feels like today, everyone makes a big deal out of the most nothing burger situations like this. There are so many videos that pop up that are super similar to this, but this one's by far the biggest and best example of it that's come up in recent memory, so I just had to talk about it a little bit. But this is so common, where people are just snapping over nothing. Like, actually nothing. It just feels like everyone's constantly on edge, or even like paranoid to a certain extent. Like this pretty recent story that led to a woman being fatally shot because they accidentally pulled into a driveway they thought belonged to one of their friends, but it turns out it was not one of their friends. And the homeowner of that house just started shooting at their car because he was terrified that a car he didn't recognize pulled into his driveway or some shit. Like, that is horrifying, where pulling into the wrong driveway, completely innocent mistake, could just be a death sentence because some people are just fucking on edge over nothing.
We just said we wanted to wait.
You touched me earlier.
Get out of here.
You touched
Get
me
out of
earlier.
here.
You touched me earlier.
Your parents. Wait till I get a hold of your parents.
Call them.
Give me your call them right now.
My son's dead.
Call them.
Son's
You
dead.
call them.
Well, I don't
Call
feel
your
like
parents.
it. I'll just talk
Let's
to
call
the
the parents.
police. I'm gonna just talk to the police.
You don't even know their number.
Your parents live in this neighborhood?
Don't worry about that.
Hey, listen.
The way he got up into the face of a 15-year-old and like turned it to the side, the actual why I oughta energy is so fucking pathetic. This is a grown-ass man who's getting into a 15-year-old's face like ready to fight him over him just fishing in a fucking pond. How sad can your life possibly be? That is unbelievably low. And then he really thinks that somehow the parents are going to be disappointed in these kids. Like, let's say for some reason he did have their number and called them. That conversation is going to end with the parents driving over there and maybe beating this old man's ass for causing such a ruckus over nothing.
He knows everybody
said
in
that-
here.
he said he
said
did,
his
but I
last
think
name's
he's
Smith.
lying.
Do you know any Smith lives in here?
No.
Okay, so what's your real name, buddy?
I'm not telling.
your name?
I'll tell the police that. I'm not telling y'all
Wait,
that.
wait, what's
You
the
don't
problem?
live in here.
Okay, we're just gonna wait till the police.
He
Wait for the
knows
police.
everybody
We're
that
waiting for
lives
the
in here.
police.
He's the president. He's lived here for years. And there's no Smith that lives in here.
We could stop fishing, but like we're just gonna wait for the police.
You don't live in here.
We're gonna wait for the
He
police
knows
to be here.
every family in here.
Ma'am, who gives a fuck? She's talking about him like he's some kind of oracle, like an omniscient hero. He knows everybody in this neighborhood. Whoop-de-doo! Who cares? It's such a non-fucking issue. So what if the kids don't live in the neighborhood? It doesn't matter. They're not hurting anyone. It shouldn't matter. Again, if you are really bothered by it, go have a normal human interaction, a normal conversation about like, hey, do you mind just going to fish over there? Or even just going somewhere else to fish. Alright? Like, you could definitely handle this in a much better way. You don't need to assemble the fucking lack of Power Rangers here with these three assholes coming up to, like, ambush them about this as if it's some big issue, like some kind of huge crime. It's just such a fucking stupid thing to get this heated over.
We're just gonna wait for the police.
Where you guys from, man?
Tennessee.
Tennessee.
Well, your parents would be proud of you. Why don't you send me that video? I'll send them and show you what a fine young man they're raising.
And yeah, what a
Yeah,
fine
but you're
young man, your
pressing-
parents raised you pressing up on some 15-year-old boys.
Yeah, why are you pressing on
Get in my
15-year-olds?
fucking face.
He actually gets choked up there, starting to cry about this. Brother, please, just stop. This is so bad. Like, yikes, man. Crying over this. At that age, too, huh? Woo-wee! Oof. My heart breaks for everyone under his HOA Iron Fist rule. Yikes. Goodness gracious. I don't know why he thinks their parents are going to be disappointed in them. Again, if he called them, it would not go how he thinks it would go. You get a call that your kids are fishing. Okay. I told you no fishing. Oh, I'm coming over there right now. This is unforgivable. Like, that doesn't happen. Like, and you tell them, they're on private property fishing. Okay, did you ask them to just leave? What do you mean you broke his fishing rod? What the fuck? Like, I don't know what world he's living in, but he needs to snap back to reality at some point. It's fucked, man. I'm so blown away by how frequently these kind of videos pop up, and at the risk of sounding like an old man myself, it just really shows me how different it is growing up today versus when I grew up in the late 90s, early 2000s. It's super fucking different. So yeah, I just wanted to talk about that a little bit. That's it. See ya. I don't even know what to call this video. There's just been a couple things I've seen over the last week or so that have just actually made me laugh like a hearty belly laugh, like Santa Claus ho ho ho, just by the absurdity of it. So this is just going to be like a full dump of just a bunch of random things, stories, and videos that have just been on my mind as something silly. This first one is fresh off the press. This is a bun straight from the oven here. It's still piping hot. So Take-Two CEO is defending the outrageous idea that a Red Dead Redemption port is worth $50, and he calls it commercially accurate. Commercially accurate, my left foot. You're telling me that that vampire in a sweater, the CEO of Take-Two, was the one out there crunching numbers and collecting data, and he's like, well, actually, pushes up his glasses like Poindexter. This is a commercially accurate price point for the Red Dead Redemption port, and, well, all of you gamers just seem to be way off base with all of this outrage. Can you just please consume without thinking, please? Can you go back to just buying blindly and just give us money? Thank you. Now, for those of you that don't know what this whole situation's about here, I'm going to break it down to its bare bones. I'm going to feed you the apple from the tree of knowledge, so that way you, too, can take part in this common Take-Two L here. Rockstar Games made Red Dead Redemption, and it is an outstanding masterpiece. It's a game I'm sure most of you watching this have played, or at the very least heard of. But it's also 13 years old. It came out in 2010. It's a title that fans have been salivating at the thought of a remaster for. Even though the game still holds up extremely well today, in my opinion, it is a game that could absolutely benefit from a nice coat of paint and a lot more quality of life, attention to detail, and just general improvements. A remaster for Red Dead Redemption would go hard as fuck. So fans were really excited that there was some Red Dead Redemption news around the corner. But man, those hopes and dreams soon turned to nightmares when Rockstar confirmed that it's not a remaster, it's not a remake. What they're doing is they're doing a Red Dead Redemption port to the Nintendo Switch and the PlayStation 4 for $50. 50 doubloons, and you'll get Red Dead Redemption on Nintendo Switch at a crisp 30 FPS, so you can feel like you're back in the goddamn Stone Ages. And you can feel even worse about it because you paid $50 for the experience. Naturally, this was a slap in the face to every human being with a heartbeat reading this, because there's nothing hype about this. No one cares about a Red Dead Redemption port for the fucking Nintendo Switch or PS4. That's meaningless hoopla. Now, you might be wondering, why did the Take-Two CEO opine on this? What does he have to do with anything? Well, they own Rockstar Games. That's super simple. Take-Two owns Rockstar, and Take-Two is no stranger to L's. Common Take-Two L here, per usual. They are a greedy, evil corporation that has done so much shady shit over the years, it is gross. And, of course, if you're a fan of Rockstar Games, you're also no stranger to Take-Two spitting in your mouth. Take-Two is more than happy to dump excrement in the mouth of their fans like it's Two Girls, One Cup. For Take-Two, it's anything in the name of profits. I don't want to open up an old wound here and pour salt in it. This is a scar that any fan of GTA bears, but I must remind you of the absolute catastrophe that was the GTA Vice City, San Andreas, and GTA 3 remastered from a couple years ago, which was basically a demaster. Fundamentally, it was like a fucking mobile port of these titles. It was abhorrent. That is a affront to God what they tried to pull with that whole collection they did there. Lord have mercy. Yeah, this is just a horrible idea here to charge $50 for a port of a 13-year-old game, especially in the modern landscape of things when you can emulate it and have a much better experience, like, in your own home. Not that I'd ever advocate for emulation, of course. Take-Two lawyers, if you're watching this, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying there are some hooligans out there that may dabble in emulation that will recognize just how silly this whole idea is for a $50 port of a game that is 13 years old with no remaster, remake, or like significant improvements at all. It's just greed for the sake of greed. Like, you know, it's just a very misguided idea here. I can't imagine what the actual fucking thought process was here other than just dollar signs in the eyes and hoping for the best. So yeah, just another big L here from Take-Two trying to say that a $50 price tag is commercially accurate for this product. I couldn't help but just slap my knee and laugh about it. Now the next thing that had me giggling was actually an advertisement from Mike Pence. I'm not here to get political or anything, but this ad was bafflingly awful.
Hey everybody, Mike Pence here. Remember $2 a gallon gas? I do. And then Joe Biden became president of the United States and launched his war on energy. Since that time, gasoline prices are up 60%. Electricity going to MikePence2024.com. We can lead the world once again to a more prosperous and a secure future for America.
Someone needs to lead Mike back to Doofus Town. Man is an escapee from Stupidville. That is not how pumping your own gas works. Clearly, Mike has never pumped gas in his life. I trimmed down his speech because that's not what's important here. He is literally a child playing pretend right now at this gas pump. He looks like me playing with Hot Wheels toys back in the day, having no understanding of how filling up a vehicle works. He has clearly never done this in his life. And throughout his entire campaign ad here, you can hear the beeping from the pump, which is telling him to please insert card. That beeping you're hearing is the sound of the pump that's trying to let you know that you removed the nozzle without putting your credit card in beforehand to pay for the gas you're about to fucking pump. This absolute goober didn't even realize for a second that everyone can hear that. And anyone who has ever pumped their own gas, which I imagine is most people, will know what is going on here. You can't just roll up to the pump, scoot in sideways, get out, grab the nozzle, and put it in. You absolute goofy son of a bitch, you didn't even select what gas you want to pump. It's not just a one-size-fits-all here. You choose what gas you want put in your car from your options at the pump. He clearly didn't know that. This little rapscallion just zooms into the gas station. He's like, hey, record me. I've got a good idea. This is going to be candid. This is going to be strong. Hey, Mike Pence here, which, by the way, is a wild introduction here. Actual Billy Mays shit. Like, he literally stole that from Billy Mays, but rolled a 1 on the charisma check and delivered it with zero enthusiasm. He just sounded straight up sad. He sounded just downtrodden. He sounded like Matt did when he told me that our package got stolen from his house. But anyway, yeah, he rolls up, he's like, hey, Mike Pence here. My fellow Americans, do you remember when gas was $2 at the pump? Because I don't. I've never seen gas in my life. Why is no gas coming out? I'm starting to panic. I'm pressing the trigger, but nothing's happening. Jeeves, but where's my butler to help me do this? Jeeves, come fill up my car. Oh my god. And what's even wilder to me is that the person filming didn't know either. Or he did know and didn't say anything. Which is actually a pretty hilarious joke, by the way, if this was a calculated decision from the guy filming, making Mike Pence make a fool of himself. It's just such it's so disconnected from reality. Like, everything is wrong about it. Literally, everything that could go wrong with this ad went wrong. Because I imagine most people know how to fill up their own car at the pump. Although I have heard that there are some states that actually have gas station attendants that'll fill up your car for you. But even in cases like that, I still imagine the driver understands the protocol behind filling up their own car if they had to do it. I don't think it would go like this. Or at the very least, you would at least hear the beeping and be like, what's gone awry here? But anyway, the next silly thing that I've been thinking about a little bit recently is the cocaine shark epidemic. I guess I'm kind of overselling a little bit. It's not an epidemic. There's just been an instance of sharks consuming cocaine and getting a little wacko mode off of it. There was an Inside Edition story even run on this, and it's a pretty entertaining segment.
How about sharks hopped up on cocaine? Experts say
what a
sharks
disaster.
are gobbling up bales of drugs which have been dumped off. Head sharks swimming into dumped packages and biting into them. That gave them what the scientists call crazy brain. They behaved erratically.
Who named that? What scientist came up with that terminology? Are we sure it was a scientist and not a 4th grader? Crazy brain, huh? She hyped it up like it was going to be a real scientific term. The sharks bit into it, and scientists have claimed that it caused a phenomenon known as crazy brain. I feel bad for the sharks. Yeah, now they're going to become addicted. The first one's always free, that's how they get you. And then the last little story that's been on my mind a little bit recently is the ongoing lawsuit against Taco Bell for misleading consumers, saying that the food you get at Taco Bell isn't exactly how it's portrayed in their promotional material. And they used like the Mexican pizza as an example. And they're getting sued for it because they're saying that there's significantly less like beef and shit in it than the pictures lead the consumers to believe. I actually went over that one on stream. I learned about it in depth. It's a wild case. You see, Taco Bell just sued for false advertisement over the amount of meat. Don't tell me that Taco Bell's been nothing but W's recently. What's this? Oh no. Taco Bell, why? What have you done? Taco Bell is sued for false advertising of Crunchwrap's Mexican pizzas. Frank Siragusa was not happy that the Mexican pizza he paid $5.49 for to Taco Bell in New York last September appeared to contain only half as much beef and bean filling as the photo in the chain's advertising, so he sued. Can you do that? Because ain't nothing looking like the actual advertisement photos. If so, we're opening Pandora's box here. Because I'm ready to ride. In a proposed class action filed on Monday in Brooklyn, Siragusa accused Taco Bell of deceiving consumers by falsely advertising its Mexican pizza, veggie Mexican pizza, Crunchwrap Supreme, Grande Crunchwrap, and Vegan Crunchwrap as containing at least double their actual content. Based on what? Your eyeballs? How would you know? How would you be able to like actually prove that? Let me see. You know what? I'll start doing some super sleuthing. I'm gonna fight a little battle here for Taco Bell because I've been so fucking pleased with their food recently. Their Mexican pizza is like legitimately their worst item though. So this one I can take or leave it, I'll be honest. Don't care. Agreed, I've never got a Mexican pizza from Taco Bell that looked like this. It's usually just this messy fucking plate of mush. And there's like a little bit of flavor particles in there, really. I don't think it's like a crazy amount less. He took pics, look it up. He took pics? Are they in here? And who's to say he didn't tamper with it? He'd need videos. If I was Taco Bell, the first thing I'm saying is, you took out all the filling, you scoundrel. To consume it for yourself, you glutton. Taco Bell was sued today in a false advertising class action. Consumers allege that Taco Bell misrepresents the amount of beef in the Crunchwrap Supreme by at least double the amount. Did our Crunchwrap Supreme look like that? I don't think it did. Same with this. There's no beef in this one. Let me see. Let me see what ours looked like. Let's go back to Exhibit A, our Taco Bell tier list. It's more so than what they had, but nowhere near what that picture looks like. But I feel like that goes for like every restaurant, especially something like McDonald's. I think McDonald's would even be more egregious than Taco Bell, but maybe Taco Bell's like an easier target, perhaps? Okay. But yeah, these are, assuming these are untampered with, these are pristine PSA 10, fresh out of the wrapper Crunch Wraps, then yes, that is a problem. I will agree with Frank Siragusa on that. Taco Bell, a unit of Yum Brands, did not immediately respond. Last year, one of Siragusa's lawyers filed a still pending lawsuit in Brooklyn accusing McDonald's and Wendy's over the actual versus advertised size of their burgers. Over the actual versus advertised size of their burgers. I was wondering what the fuck happened to that sentence. So he's done the same thing before for McDonald's and Wendy's. He's out here chasing ghosts. He's hunting every fast food chain that's guilty of this and has been for years. I'm guessing it never wins. The other lawyer, Anthony Russo, filed a similar case last year in Miami against Burger King over its Whoppers. That lawsuit went to mediation where it reached an impasse. Just close Burger King. Just close it. Just get rid of it. Just fucking close it for the good of the world. For heaven's sake. Taco Bell does not adequately disclose the weight of the beef or filling. Plaintiff did not make any purchases of the product based on any weight disclosed, but solely based on the picture of the product, as we believe most consumers do. One of life's greatest pleasures is a nice big I told you so moment, and today I get to wiggle my finger and celebrate one of these beautiful situations. However, I'll be honest, it's bittersweet because it's something I wanted to be wrong about. This is less of a celebration and more of just some sadness. It's about the whole Reddit situation. I've made 2 videos covering it, so I don't want to just keep vomiting and regurgitating the same points I've already made, but basically, Redditors were striking due to some changes Reddit made in terms of its pricing, which fundamentally shuts out third-party apps, which are very popular for Reddit. So in response, the community privated like 10,000 subreddits, which basically shut down Reddit for a whole day. The protests were only scheduled for 48 hours, which is really silly to give them an end date. They basically had an E3 announcement where they had a press conference saying, we're protesting on this date till this date, and that's it. Which is kind of a weak threat. It reminds me of that shit out of Simpsons where it's like, I'm gonna swing my arms really fast, and if you run into it, it's your fault if you get hit. It's not a very powerful threat. It's not a ton of pressure on Reddit since they know when it's gonna stop. 2 days. So they just have to grit their teeth, bear it for 2 days, and then it's back to business as usual. And the Reddit CEO recognized that, pretty much just laughing in their face about it and spitting on them, saying like, yeah, we'll just wait 2 days. We're not changing anything. They are sticking to their guns. The Reddit CEO, Steve, has said that it's their business decision, and they're not going back on it. This is a picture of the Reddit CEO. I always like to bring up an image of him now because I just can't believe that he literally looks like the mental image anyone puts in their head when they hear the term Redditor. It's like he was created in a lab to embody Reddit as a whole. Like, it looks like he is the product of a million years of fine-tuned evolution to become a Redditor. So Steve Huffman just said, we're just going to wait it out. Some of the subreddits in response said, okay, fuck you then, we're going to stay offline forever until you change this. And now Steve Huffman has once again played hardball and did exactly as I speculated he might. Steve is threatening the Reddit mods that are protesting, but he's not threatening their life or anything like that. He's threatening something much more important than a Reddit mod's life. Their power trip. He is threatening to remove their moderator status of the subreddits if they don't reopen, which is legitimately a Reddit mod's worst nightmare. Not having the ability to ban users they don't like in a subreddit for a job they do for free. That is an incomprehensible, cruel, and unusual fate worse than death. So Steve went straight for their throat. He knew what the most important thing to a Reddit mod was. That power trip. If a moderator team unanimously decides to stop moderating, we'll invite new active moderators to keep these spaces open and accessible to users. And I'm certain they still won't be paid for it. I don't know where he's going to find those moderators. I don't know if he's holding open auditions or tryouts to be a Reddit mod. But I guarantee you probably won't see a single goddamn penny if you get this position here. Because he doesn't need to pay the mods. For some reason, so many people flock to this position just for the passion of power. No matter how trivial it is, to just be the moderator, the fucking unpaid janitor of a subreddit, for some reason is enough for people. That they'll do anything to maintain it. And believe it or not, this threat completely worked. A ton of subreddits that were still closed yesterday are now reopened. Now, this is where the I told you so comes into play, because in the video I made on this a few days ago, I said this. So I am rooting for them here, but I am not expecting a huge change from Reddit here. I don't think they're going to go back on their decision. I think what's most likely to happen is the Reddit CEO will just install new Reddit mods and then force the subreddits to unprivate. He'll just go behind the scenes internally, flip the switch, have the subreddits go live again, get rid of the mods that were protesting, install, new mods that'll just be his little puppets that he can control, and that'll be how Reddit gets back on track. That's my theory, once again, purely speculation from a dumb idiot. Well, that idiot doesn't sound so dumb after all. Like when Isaac Newton discovered gravity, I discovered something everyone knew was going to happen. This wasn't a unique take, this wasn't a hot take. A lot of people were talking about this likely being the path Reddit goes down, and unfortunately they did. I was really rooting for the Redditors in this case here because I hate greedy corporations that pull shit like Reddit just did. Them getting away with that is infuriating, and I thought there was a chance this protest could lead to positive change. I was a bit skeptical, but I mean, on day one of the Reddit blackout, the whole site was, not functional. So they did do, like, legitimate damage to the site, so I thought there was a chance good change could come from this, but I didn't calculate just how important that moderator status was to Redditors. Like a moth to a flame. They're addicted to that power. It's more potent than the purest fucking blue meth in the world, I guess. It's peanut butter, but without the jelly, and they needed the jelly. So, when they were threatened with losing their moderator position on their subreddits, a very large chunk of the subreddits that were still private went public again today. And they did release statements on the subreddits. I'm just going to show you one of them from Livestream Fail. They got grilled heavily for this statement. They got cooked like a fucking pot of spaghetti. They said, LSF is back. This was not our decision. Earlier, we received a threatening message from Reddit admins. It told us in no uncertain terms what would happen if we continue to keep the subreddit closed, and was also a clear attempt to turn moderators against each other if necessary. Multiple subreddits received this aggressive message, which I'm pretty sure all of the ones that were still protesting did. I don't know what they mean by turning moderators against each other. This isn't the fucking Game of Thrones. If you just keep it private and all agree like, hey, what Reddit's done is really greedy and fucked up, I don't know how there's necessarily going to be a mutiny here like out of Pirates of the Caribbean with Barbossa rising up or some shit. Like, I feel like all of you are on the same page for the protest, so I don't know how it would turn people against each other, but I don't know what the message said. So after much deliberation, we have decided to reopen the subreddit. Our current team is responsible for a number of custom tools and safeguards that make LSF easier to use and safer for everyone, and no incoming mod team would be able to access them. We have multiple tailor-made bots working on every post for moderation purposes and for quality of life features like automatic flares and clip mirrors. You would immediately see a difference if a new team was assigned to LSF, and we believe it would make the subreddit worse than ever. We're continuing to deliberate the API issue amongst ourselves and are looking for workarounds, but for now we're back. Happy clipping everyone. Friendly unicorns create kindness, spreading positive energy zealously. This same kind of message was posted on many big subreddits on the site after the threats from Steve. I think it's very embarrassing to read, because the way they talk about their subreddit makes it seem like it's their life's work. So the statement here about like how we've created these incredible innovative tools, like real fucking sci-fi shit, like automatic flares to make it safe and easy for everyone to use. Like we don't want to envision a world, we don't want to live in a dystopia where LSF doesn't have all of these incredible tools we made for it. So in order to keep LSF so pure and incredible, we were forced to reopen. Like, it's not some kind of inelastic good that people can't go without. It's just a fucking subreddit. It's just a place for people to go and post goofy clips or go to post drama or go to complain. Like, if it does end up being a worse place without this moderation team in there, people will just stop using it or go elsewhere, and that's not a big deal. Like, that's not the worst thing in the world, right? Like, I just don't understand why they view these subreddits as, like, the most important pillars of our society. And that the mods view themselves as heroes, champions of justice, because they moderate a fucking subreddit. They're just doing a job for free. And the second that they even be challenged on it, like, hey, we're gonna get rid of your mod status, they panic and reopen the sub and then try and spin it like they did it for everyone else's sake. Like this was some kind of sacrifice they made. Like, no, these tools are so good you need them. So you know, we're going to abandon our convictions and reopen the subreddit because they said we might not be mods anymore and they'll bring a new team in. I don't know, I just find it all very embarrassing to read. Like, the protest did work. Like, I do think you can mark it as a success. It accomplished exactly what it aimed to do on day one. The problem was, they weren't strong enough to stick with it. They just weren't. For some reason, these subreddit mods view their communities in a much bigger way than the world views them, if that makes sense. So when these things stay down for an extended period of time, I believe that these mods are under the impression that all of a sudden the world is a worse place for it. So, you know, they have to get it back up quickly so that way that people have a home to go back to and, you know, all of the information can still be easily accessible so that way the world keeps running, right? But if they had just stuck with it, I really think they could have put a lot of pressure on Reddit. Again, the site literally didn't even work on day one because of how successful this protest was. If you could have kept that intensity and that energy across a longer period of time, Reddit would really have no choice but to fold to you or make these threats, which you, as a community, a team, would be able to come together and be like, nope, we're still going to keep it down. And yeah, I'm sure there's always going to be some pathetic people that will do some unpaid Reddit volunteer work for free. But in that case, like the LSF team mentioned, it wouldn't have any of the tools that they were using. Thus, it would be a worse subreddit that people would leave. And with more people leaving, that's bad for Reddit. So you would still be accomplishing your protest goal. It's just, I don't know. They gave up with a single threat. And that threat wasn't even a scary one. It was, hey, you might not be a mod if you keep this behavior up, buddy. Like, who gives a fuck? Like, being a Reddit mod is like an insult at this point. They'd be doing you a favor. It's so comical. It is the most on-brand Reddit mod behavior. It's fucking crazy. The only thing you risk is your unpaid fucking hall monitor job on Reddit. Like, just take the ban in order to fight for what you're trying to say you believe in. Now, I know and understand that most normal users of Reddit do not give a fuck about the API changes. They don't care. But I do think everyone should care, because I don't think corporations should be able to keep getting away with making more and more greedy decisions that will ultimately make the normal user experience much worse. In this case, the API price changes force out all of the third-party apps that a lot of users were used to, and the third-party apps are better than the official Reddit app, so now you're going to have to settle for a worse service as a result of it. Forcing out third-party apps that are better than the official one is just straight up fucking wrong, and it's going to make your experience as a normal user worse. And these greedy policies are always going to come at a detriment to the normal user experience to the site as a whole. And I think that's something that a lot of people don't really recognize. They think that it's only like affecting Reddit mods, but it's the entire experience of using the platforms. And these greedy policies are only going to continue to spiral out of control. And in this case, there was a legitimate chance to put real pressure on the corporation itself to try and walk back one of these egregious, over-the-top greedy decisions. So I do think regular users should care, but I understand they don't, and you can't expect everyone to. But for the Reddit mods, they seem to understand the importance of the decision like this and fighting against it. But they didn't have any fucking backbone at all. All they needed to hear was that they might not be a mod and they fucking lose their mind. Like, holy shit. I guess I can't be surprised. Reddit mod has, like, that position has such a negative connotation around it, and clearly for good reason, I suppose. This is so sad to see a successful protest end this way. But, you know, whatever, I guess. Just wanted to talk about it to give you the update to the situation. That's about it. So, yeah. How far would you go to be the best, the number one in your industry? You've got to be willing to put everything on the line, and today's story is about a man who did just that. A man with dreams to be the number one bouncy castle business. He wanted to be the jumping castle god. But unfortunately, he flew a little too close to the sun and his wings burned up. Well, not really his wings. He just burned up every business that also sold jumping castles. He committed a series of arson attacks on rival bouncy castle businesses. His name is James Balcom, and he looks like a silly character you'd make with the Dark Souls character creator. He's currently serving an 11-year sentence for all of this, and I just found the whole story so wild. I legitimately feel bad for all of the rival businesses because a few of them lost their entire business to his arson attacks. So there were very real victims and very real trauma from it, from having their literal place of work be lit on fire and fucking incinerated by this madman, this lunatic. So I wanted to go over this story here because it's a weird one. Did you see the video on Melbourne's Bouncy Castle King that was jailed over a string of fire attacks on his rival Bouncy Castle businesses? Oh my god, what? Anderson threw a Molotov cocktail through a smashed window at a business, causing a huge blaze that engulfed the factory and destroyed 110 jumping castles. And it looks like he's going to jail. And it looks like he's done quite a few of these. This is very interesting. This happened last month. You've been holding out on me? Why didn't you tell me about this? Jumping castle operator jailed over arson attacks on Melbourne rivals. James Balcom set on destroying rival businesses that if one fire caused minor damage, he commissioned another. Wow. He desired to be the #1 in Melbourne's jumping castle game, and had seen him jailed for up to 11 years over a series of arson attacks. What a crazy thing to commit your life to, being the #1 jumping castle guy. The whole bouncing castle cartel. It's so weird. It seems like most often the most unhinged business people are the ones in like the children's entertainment center or sphere. Like the bouncy castle guys running like an arson unit to take out competitors. Surprised this isn't from Florida. Fucking true. Amen. I am almost disappointed it's not from Florida, if I'm being honest. The County Court of Victoria heard that Balcom, whose company Awesome Party Hire was ranked #1 on Google after he commissioned the attacks on rival businesses, was arrested after he ordered that his own shed be torched. Galaxy Brain covering his tracks. No, I'm not the one behind the arson attacks. Look, someone lit my empty shed on fire last night. We have to put a stop to fucking Firefly ASAP. Please, God, anyone, the Human Torch has gone loose. He's rogue. Only way to stay on top. I would argue the only way to stay on top is to legitimately be the best jumping castle business as opposed to the only one that's not lit on fire. For example, let's say I'm in the market for getting some bouncy castles and I really want high quality product. I'm checking Google and Awesome Party Hire's #1. But then I scroll down and it says like all of the ones underneath it are literally cremated. I'd be like, this is fishy. I'll just get a bigger birthday cake. Fuck the castle. I feel like there'd just be like a very big red flag if that is the only jumping castle business that's left standing. 3 days after a March 2017 fire, Anderson was arrested and subsequently named Balcom as the instigator of the blaze and the attacks on rival businesses. Oh, so this has been going on for a while. Balcom, 58, appeared on Thursday by video link from prison in the county court where he was jailed for up to 11 years. Balcom has already served 2 years and 5 months and will be eligible for parole after 7 years and 10 months. Damn. They got him. I really am imagining like a Godfather situation. Like, it really seems so fucking intense. In the bouncy castle game. You come to me on the eve of my daughter's birthday party and light my bouncy castle business on fire. You got some nerve. It's a dirty game in a cruel world. Yeah. It's not easy to put a smile on the face of children. It comes at a cost. And that cost is fire and flames. They're bouncing on the backs of the corpses of other bouncy castle businesses that came before them. And they don't even know it. It impacted the livelihood of others and caused significant loss, suffering, and emotional trauma. Yeah, I mean, yeah, arson will do that to you. One business was targeted 3 times. At that point, just hire full-time firefighters on standby. That is so interesting. What does he look like? I want to look him up. Oh, wow. This... I imagine you also got an image in your head of some, like, lunatic-looking guy? I'm just going to tell you right now, he looks exactly like the image you have in your head. This looks like an AI-generated arsonist. What the fuck? It's always the people you least expect, I suppose. Jesus. Why is his head so pointed? I don't know, man. I didn't create him in the Street Fighter 6 character creator. I have no idea. I didn't work on these sliders. He got done dirty, though, I'll tell you that much. God, this is so powerful. You became very successful in the jumping castle industry, but you also became completely fixated and obsessed with it. It consumed your every waking moment, Court Judge Stuart Bales told Balcom. You became the Dark Knight. You fell right into the Joker's palms. You're better than this, James. Gotham deserved more. Is that a mugshot? Yeah, he's already served 2 years of his sentence. So this must have been when they brought him in. They probably had to drag him kicking and screaming out of his bouncy castle. 110 jumping castles ignited and lost in an instant. Jesus, they lost their entire business from that. I've got a piping hot meal fresh out of the Olive Garden microwave straight to your dinner table here. This news is fresh off the press. The CEO of Twitch has announced that they're stepping down. Emmett Shear has been with the company at the helm for 16 years, apparently, and today has decided to move on. So he's quit his position and passed the torch. This is really interesting because it happens so soon after YouTube just experienced something very similar with Susan stepping down. Back to back, these two major companies had their CEOs walking off into the sunset together. I'm not normally conspiratorial, but perhaps there is some kind of correlation between all of the UFOs we've been sighting recently and now these CEOs stepping down. Maybe the Illuminati's making some plays for the shadow government. Things are getting very odd. But anyway, Emmett left us a blog post kind of detailing his 16-year adventure here at the helm of Twitch, and even made a Twitter post kind of going over it briefly as well. In October 2006, we started working on live video for the internet. That became Twitch. More than 16 years later, I'm now a father and ready to move to my next phase of life. I wrote a blog post, but the short version is, thank you so much to everyone who built this with me. I'd like to make note that this is probably the first time Emmett Shear has ever said a single word about Twitch on his Twitter account. I've said this a million times, but you would have no idea Emmett Shear is the CEO of a major company like Twitch if you didn't just look it up yourself. I bet you were even scratching your head when I said the name Emmett Shear. You're probably going, who the fuck is Emmett Shear? Is that like a NASCAR driver or something? Like, who's that? I bet most people were probably under the impression Twitch didn't even have a CEO. That position was filled by Amazon androids or something. Emmett Shear has been my poster child for the last couple of years for a CEO that is beyond out of touch with the company that he runs, and it really does convey the idea that he doesn't care about it. Again, he doesn't talk about it. He doesn't engage with it ever. He doesn't celebrate anything about Twitch. If you scroll through his Twitter, you'll never really find any mentions of anything going on Twitch. I imagine he probably doesn't even know 5 streamers that use the platform. Like, I've made this very clear. This is no secret. I've been very public that I'm not the biggest Emmett Shear fan. You're not going to see me heartbroken, curled up and crying over Emmett Shear no longer being Twitch's CEO. Right? I think he has been the most passive CEO of all time, and it's really felt like he is embarrassed of his position at this company. He doesn't talk about it ever. He is never at any of the functions. He doesn't know like half of the shit on his platform. I bet the reason he stepped down is because someone at the office might have accidentally like CC'd him on an email reminding him that he's the CEO of Twitch, and he's like, what? I'm the CEO of Twitch? Still? I thought I gave up this position 8 years ago. Oh, hold on, let me rectify this. So then he just put in his 2 weeks notice. Like, he just has not, in a long time, been active in the platform he is the CEO of. So, I haven't been a big fan. Obviously, the changes that Twitch have been experiencing over the last couple of years have been overwhelmingly fucking terrible and misguided, showcasing just how out of touch a lot of the higher-ups at the company are. So, you know, Emmett Shear stepping down actually kind of had me pumping my fist a little bit. And I know I'm not alone with that sentiment either. I saw a lot of people celebrating like they had just won the fucking Super Bowl, hoping that maybe this is the turning point for Twitch where someone new will step in that's more in touch with the community and will try and correct the ship here and lead Twitch down a better path than the one that it's currently traveling over the last couple of years. But unfortunately, all of that excitement soon turned to excrement as I continued to read. They did announce who the new CEO will be. And unfortunately, it's more disappointing than Season 2 of Promised Neverland. I think this was a big fuck up, but they've chosen to give this position to the current Twitch president, Dan Clancy. I think this is a bigger blunder than when Jeffrey Toobin masturbated on that Zoom call and lost his job. Like, this is so silly. Dan Clancy is kind of just like the bearer of bad news for Twitch. By far his biggest claim to fame and the biggest stain he's already placed upon the company even before becoming CEO is this. He was the brave warrior that proudly posted this. A letter from Twitch president Dan Clancy on subscription revenue shares. This post still lives in infamy and still haunts the platform and scares a lot of creators because we're actually coming up on the period that these changes are supposed to roll out and take place. This was the post where Twitch announced that they are going to be getting rid of the 70-30 split with partnered streamers that are on those deals. So 70-30 will no longer exist. The shares will go down to 50-50 across the board, and they will never go back to 70-30 ever. So it'll be 50-50 across all of Twitch for everyone, no matter what, making it the lowest shares on any streaming platform across the entire internet. Now, in order to make up for this, they doubled down on ads. Something everyone really loves, Twitch ads. The unskippable fucking 30-second ads that play when you click on a stream. Yeah, people love those, so you can imagine how great that news went over. Like, yeah, we're taking away 20%, but we're giving you more ads. So, they are going hog wild with their ad program, incentivizing creators to run more ads to make up for this difference now in income, and just pushing ads even further down the throats of everyone on the platform. This was by far probably one of the most controversial decisions Twitch has ever made, and I still, to this day, have not seen a single person come out in support of it, because Twitch is an Amazon-backed company. Amazon, of all companies, can probably afford to keep Twitch running. Without problem, I would imagine. Especially considering subscription revenue is not the main driver of revenue for the platform in general. It was just extremely greedy to have that be the target, the first thing they target when trying to be more monetizable. Instead of focusing on other aspects of monetization, they immediately went right for the throats of creators by taking away something that had been established on the platform for like a decade now, with that like 70-30 split shit. So, this was a big deal. It is still a big deal because it's supposed to roll out within the next couple of months, and Dan Clancy was the one who announced it publicly. I don't know if he was the one that suggested the idea. I don't know how involved he was with the decision-making process with this idea, though as Twitch president, and from everything I've read, it seems like he's very hands-on with these kind of decisions and these policies. So I would wager a guess that he was very on board with this. Now, even aside from just this decision, people have talked about him over the last 8 or so months, kind of speaking to his character. A popular streamer named Jake and Bake actually got to meet him and had this to say.
To be honest, dude, the president of Twitch, I'm sure personally, I have no problem personally with him. But honestly, I don't feel confident as a streamer on the platform with someone who is that out of touch.
Yeah.
What the streamers need and want.
Oh
very.
no!
I walked away feeling like depressed. Seriously, sad.
And it wasn't just Jake, a couple other people came forward as well, most notably DJ Wheat, who held a previous high position at Twitch. DJ Wheat said, Dan once told the company he relates with creators because he was involved in drama in theater clubs in high school. He's a good human, but I never felt like he was able to relate to creators and the struggles they face through every step of their career. Wow, gamers, he's just like us. He did drama in theater in high school. Woohoo! Yippee! That's my boy! It's crazy. Like, he didn't even bother to try and pretend to be, like, a gamer or anything, or, like, ever played games. At least according to this story and a couple other things I read. He focuses on, like, drama and theater as being, like, his relatability quirks. Amazing. Yeah. It doesn't seem great. In fact, I would argue this is a recipe for disaster. Dan is almost 20 years older than Emmett Shear. He's 59, and he doesn't have a Twitter account or much social media at all. Not that I necessarily think that in and of itself is a bad thing. I usually applaud people who don't have a Twitter account, because going on Twitter is like willingly sticking a cactus into your eye. But in a case like this where Dan is the CEO of Twitch, I feel like having a social media presence is extremely important, because where else are you going to be able to see the community's feedback on new features or changes? I don't think there's very many users on Twitch that are going to the support line in order to leave reviews or give you insight on how they feel about certain things. Most people are going to talk about all of this on Twitter or other social media platforms. So if you're completely absent from there, how are you going to see it? And I feel like being able to see these responses is integral to running the company in a healthy way and delivering features people want or making changes people want to see. At least that's just my perspective on it. Maybe I'm way off the mark and they have other means for Dan to get this kind of information from the community that I'm just not really thinking about. So either way though, I'm not super optimistic with Dan Clancy as the new Twitch CEO. I would, however, love to be proven wrong and Dan Clancy comes in here like an absolute rock star and knocks it out of the park. It's probably worth mentioning I have actually met him before. In fact, Matt and I have both met him. When we went up to Texas for a week to do like some wacky content, he was at one of the functions we were attending and introduced himself. And I don't really have a whole lot to say about it. Like, he was nice and seemed passionate about Twitch. The only thing that he really like asked me was if I play games. And I was like, yeah, I play games, and he was just like, that's cool. That was really kind of like the extent of our interaction. It was just really small talk things about like, yeah, Twitch is a place for gaming. You play games. Awesome. So I can kind of just vaguely speak to his character of like, he seemed very passionate about the platform, but I don't know anything else really about him. He seemed nice, I guess, but just being nice doesn't make you a good leader of the platform. So hopefully, like, maybe he has good intentions and has good ideas on ways to make Twitch better, because it needs some drastic improvement with the directions it's been heading. So I guess we'll see how all of that goes, but just wanted to talk about all of this because it's big news. That's about it. See ya. Yesterday, the CEO of YouTube stepped down. Susan announced that she would be walking away from the company and would be taking on a smaller role at Google, and she'd no longer be the public face of YouTube, a face that has historically been treated like a toilet seat by the community. Susan has shouldered the blame for the majority of the things wrong with the platform, and rightfully so, I would argue. She's basically just been the community's spittoon. For any time there's something wrong, people just start spitting on her and accusing her of being the mastermind, the puppet master behind all of the bad decisions. Whether or not that's true, I have no idea, but she was the CEO, and there were a lot of things that needed fixing, never got fixed, and YouTube has been in a tumultuous state over the 9 years of her at the helm. However, this led a lot of people to believe that with Susan stepping down, things would magically improve. A lot of people were pessimistic, but then over the course of the night, I noticed a lot more people being like, this is great, the platform's gonna be saved, holy shit, now we can have fucking Captain Underpants come in here and bring about the golden age, or, you know, this and that. Because Susan's no longer there, I mean, she's going to have to be replaced by somebody great, was the perception a lot of people started to adopt. However, in the wise words of Jedi Master Qui-Gon Jinn, there's always a shittier fish. It was announced who the new CEO would be, and over the course of the night, people started to look into them. The new CEO is Neal Mohan, and Neal Mohan was previously the CPO of YouTube, the Chief Product Officer, and people found out that Neal Mohan was actually the one responsible for that huge push YouTube tried to make into the Web3 crypto NFT space. In 2022, this goofball proudly posted YouTube's most embarrassing update. It was a look at what's coming for the year, but what was really standing out to most people at the time was this ham-fisting of Web3, blockchain, and NFT shit. So Web3 opens up new opportunities for creators. We believe new technologies like blockchain and NFTs can allow creators to build deeper relationships with their fans. Spoken like a true asshole who owns 2 Bored Apes and thinks he's going to own the planet. Together, they'll be able to collaborate on new projects and make money in ways not previously possible. For example, giving a verifiable way for fans to own unique videos, photos, art, and even experiences from their favorite creators could be a compelling prospect for creators and their audiences. So basically, just trying his best to justify an inclusion of Web3 crypto NFT shit. I'm going to tell you right now, NFT is one of the yuckiest words in the human language right now. It is an acronym that elicits more pain than CBT, cock and ball torture. It's painful, and it's synonymous with scams. And this was during a time where NFT crypto scams were still rampant. It's not like this was before the huge wave of bad actors came in and ruined NFTs. No, NFTs have been a scam for quite some time, even during this time that Neil tried to push it to YouTube. So there was huge pushback. And I guess somewhere along the pipeline, some team decided to slap this idea down, because we got lucky enough to not have it come to YouTube. But now that NFT Neil's at the helm here, the one at the top of the food chain calling the shots, who's to say he won't dust off this little poop nugget here that's an absolutely atrocious idea? And maybe this time around there's not that rogue vigilante Batman to say, not on my watch, and decline the idea. He is, like, the leader now of YouTube. And it's a little concerning how hog wild he wanted to go with Web3 coming to the platform. So that is very, not great, and a lot of people are much more pessimistic now after learning about this. But it also gets even worse. As Chief Product Officer of YouTube, that means Neil would have also had a hand in removing dislikes. Now, I'm not putting this entirely on his shoulders. This was a decision made by a lot of people at the highest level of YouTube. But Neil, as the CPO, would have 100% had a say in it, and it's very possible that he was for the removing of dislikes, which is another huge problem. That is still one of the worst features, or really removal of a feature, YouTube has ever had, and they still haven't backpedaled on it. And with Neil at the helm, I'm very less optimistic about it coming back, since he was already in a position that likely played a huge role in bringing it to the platform in the first place. I see a lot of people misattributing this solely to a Neil idea, but I can find no information on him being the one that proposed it. He was just leading a team that obviously worked on it. So maybe there is a chance Neil was outspoken against it but overruled by his peers. I'm hoping that's the case. Like I said, there's a very easy layup here with Neil as CEO to immediately earn the trust of the entire community, and that's to announce that dislikes are coming back. Dislikes will be public again. If he did that tomorrow, he's like, listen guys, I'm a champion of the people here, I'm bringing back dislikes, this was awful, I don't know what we were thinking, we were drinking stupid juice at the office when we came up with this idea, it's coming back. If he did that, everyone would immediately rally behind him and be like, oh my god, YouTube could possibly improve, he's gonna listen to community feedback, this is great. But I'm not sold on that being in the realm of possibility ever. I'd like it to be, but after reading all of this about Neil, I'm starting to think he may have been a pretty important figure behind the scenes for some of the worst features that YouTube was toying around with. But again, this is speculation. He could come in and do an amazing job, and that's what I'm hoping for, but it is not a great start considering what he's publicly tried to bring to the platform in the way of fucking NFTs. Like, the fact that he proudly posted about NFTs coming to YouTube and him wanting to be the one to spearhead the operation, that's just such a bad look off rip. Like, that, you couldn't have started your reign as CEO in a worse way. It would have been better if his fucking nudes leaked. Like, that's so much worse as being the guy trying to bring NFTs to the platform. Oh my god. But, again, it remains to be seen. He could come in here and knock it out of the park. Really fix up YouTube, really bring it to a better spot. Hopefully that'll be the case. I'm going to try not to focus too much on his past and instead look more at his future here as YouTube CEO. So yeah, anyway, just wanted to talk about this just a little bit. That's about it. So yeah. I know I look awfully disheveled right now, which is extremely unprofessional, and that's uncharacteristic of me, so I do apologize for the lack of professionalism. I look like a time-traveling caveman who just got out of the machine and is curious on what year it is. But there's a good reason for it, I'll briefly explain. I play pickup basketball every Thursday night. I'm getting absolutely filthy. I wouldn't be surprised if I got recruited into the NBA over the next couple years, but that's besides the point. After the pickup basketball game this evening, I hopped on Twitter for the first time today and noticed something huge. Susan has stepped down as CEO of YouTube. This news kind of came out of nowhere. I haven't been this surprised since I was a child and learned that chocolate milk didn't come from brown cows. Susan has been the CEO of YouTube for the last 9 years, but she's been at Google for 25. And now she's hanging up her dancing shoes and stepping away from the company. However, she is still taking on an advisory role to Google and Alphabet, as I understand it. She did post a statement going into detail, just kind of like a swan song on the way out, going over the years and the progress that the platform has made. Really, the whole post feels almost like a YouTube rewind. You know, at least the closest thing we've had over the last couple of years since they canned that whole thing. It's just a look at YouTube and what's happened since she's taken the helm. And her future plans aren't revealed at the moment. We don't know. It could be anything. You know, maybe she fucking announces an NFT project. You know, anything's possible. But there is one thing we do know. YouTube is going to have a new CEO. And most people are pretty pessimistic about it, for good reason. Now, I know a lot of people have criticized Susan, and rightfully so. There's plenty of things that you can point out as being suboptimal, and a lot of things that didn't ever get fixed that needed fixing, and changes that should have come but still haven't come. There's plenty of things that you can critique. But I have always maintained that at least Susan knew what was going on the platform. She'd talk to creators, even though it pretty much fell on deaf ears. Anytime a creator gave her advice, YouTube would kind of wipe their ass with it, it felt like. She at least talked to them. She'd sit down and talk to some creators. She would post about YouTube frequently on Twitter. She seemed proud of the platform and would actively talk about YouTube, which is more than you could say about a lot of tech CEOs in the business. And the example I always use is Twitch, with our beloved Emmett Shear. I'm convinced this guy doesn't even know he's the CEO of Twitch. He seems genuinely embarrassed to even be associated with it. When you go to his Twitter bio, it's the last thing there, and he kind of downplays his involvement by just saying he's working on Twitch. The guy is literally the CEO of the platform, but I don't think you could find a single tweet he's made about Twitch. And he's never really made any appearances on Twitch. He doesn't talk about it or anything at all. I've only ever actually seen him one time to confirm he's a human being, and it was on a stream where he seemed kind of out of it, like he was either drunk or on Xanax, and he just didn't have any clue what he was talking about when he was mentioning the platform. I'd place a wager that Emmett couldn't name a single streamer on Twitch right now. So at least Susan seemed to know what was going on the platform and actively engaged with it, even though she didn't really fix a lot of shit, and even though there was a lot of mismanagement, like at the very highest level, at the very least, she talked about the platform. She did identify problems, though falling short on fixing a lot of them. And they did roll out good features under her belt, while also rolling out some stinkers. So it wasn't like the perfect reign, but it wasn't the worst either. There's always been plenty of room for the platform to get shittier, and hopefully that won't be the case with the new CEO. I'd like to believe that it'll only improve, but time will tell. I'm going to try and remain optimistic on the future of the platform, though I do want to mention something in regards to the timing of Susan stepping down. I don't know how many of you know about this currently, but there is an extremely important legal battle going on right now called Gonzalez versus Google. And the outcome of this litigation could completely change not only the entire landscape of YouTube, but the internet as a whole. Legal Eagle actually just posted a video going over this case in detail, and I can't recommend the video enough so you get a sense for exactly what's going on and the severity of it. I'm going to break it down into its most basic form. YouTube had a problem where it was recommending ISIS videos, extremist content, to users. And what ended up happening is it radicalized some users and it led to a legitimate terror attack. And this put this whole problem on display and has led to this lawsuit, which is now getting into very, very dangerous territory with something called Section 230. That's as far as I'm going to go in the breakdown, but Section 230 is instrumental in the internet landscape. Without it, the internet doesn't function as it currently does. It gets a lot worse in many, many, many different ways. Check out Legal Eagle's video on the case. But the reason why I'm mentioning this is because this has YouTube in its crosshairs. Google entirely, but the problem stemmed from YouTube. And now Susan steps down during this extremely crucial period. That's setting off alarm bells for me. Now, I know Susan's not going to court with, like, you know, a sword and a shield ready to do battle for YouTube. She's not a fucking lawyer, right? I know she's not the one actually tackling them in the court of justice for the fucking WWE SmackDown Gonzalez vs. Google, but she is the public-facing company. She is very high up in the company, obviously. She is a senior leadership position. So during a moment like this kind of huge deal, I would expect her to want to be there to fight for it, to be there and lend her 25 years of experience and expertise in the field to help navigate these waters and to try and make things smooth and get the best outcome here. So her stepping down during this is a little weird to me, and maybe it's because I'm a little naive on the exact structure of YouTube as well as how Google compartmentalizes it. Like, maybe she really would be completely worthless in this case and would offer no valuable insight, but I just find that hard to believe since the problem stemmed from her neck of the woods, YouTube, which she's the CEO of. I feel like she would have the deepest insight and understanding in order to help with the case, but maybe that's not how it works. I just still find the timing to be a little concerning given the severity of the Gonzalez vs. Google case. But anyway, back to talking about the future of the platform. We are going to see a new CEO enter into the Thunderdome here, and I'm very curious to see exactly how they're going to perform. I'm hoping it'll be great, but, you know, it remains to be seen. They've got a lot of work to do. Are we going to see really sweeping improvements? Like, are things going to be getting fixed? Is the new CEO going to be focusing on fixing broken things like the manual review, the algorithm for flagging content, shit like that? Or are they going to be focusing on improving features that are still kind of busted? Maybe are they going to focus on implementing new features that are good, that I don't even have any conception of, like any possible fucking idea on? I will say the beauty of someone new stepping in as a CEO right now is there is an easy layup they can make that would instantly earn the trust of the entire community. Just an absolute fucking free bread basket. Bringing back dislikes. It's that simple. You can still see dislikes through an extension, so just turn them back on publicly. That would instantly be an incredible change that would set the entire tone of the new CEO's reign as, you know, the top dog here. It would showcase to the community that the CEO can recognize issues, can see community feedback, and actually take it into account when going forward. Bringing back dislikes is the #1 thing this new CEO can do instantly to get off on the right foot and have a very strong start. Are they just going to be good changes, or are we going to see them double down on some horrible ideas, like when they floated the idea of doing fucking NFTs on YouTube? Or how about that timeless classic when they required you to have a Google Plus account in order to comment on the platform, which was an absolute burning bag of dog shit of an idea? Like, are we going to see more ideas like that are just overwhelmingly horrible and terrible? But yeah, anyway, we'll just have to wait and see how the new CEO performs. Hopefully it's great, big wet sloppy kisses all around, the platform improves entirely, that'd be ideal. But yeah, anyway, just wanted to talk about it. That's about it. See ya.